Story 1. My girlfriend is an assistant manager at a nationwide pizza chain named after a beloved tile-based game. She was hired by the regional manager and placed at this particular store. The store manager meets her on the first day, and there's constant tension. He routinely undermines her authority to other employees. He mocked another deaf employee by mimicking her speech pattern, leading to the employee quitting. He says he can't understand Latino customers who try to order on the phone, so he hangs up, and is generally an insensitive jerk. The final straw came late one night last week when a black gentleman and an Asian gentleman came in to order. The Asian gentleman was visibly intoxicated, so the black gentleman set him down in a chair and placed their order. Because of COVID-19 precautions, customers weren't technically supposed to sit inside at that time. However, they weren't causing any problems. They were the only customers in the store, and my girlfriend was by herself. She began to make their order when the jerk manager returned from a delivery. They have trouble keeping drivers, unsurprisingly. He immediately told them they couldn't sit in the store. As the black gentleman questioned why, the jerk escalated and got louder. This quickly devolved to the jerk manager yelling at them to get out of my store. At which point the black gentleman said he would when he got a refund. A refund was issued on his card, but he wanted a receipt as proof. The manager refused and told them they were trespassing. He followed them out to the parking lot, still yelling, and then called the police to report them for alleged trespassing. As he came back in, he mumbled a racial slur in front of my also black girlfriend. She wrote a 2-page memo to Human Resources outlining his offenses and sent it to the regional manager. The next day, she asked the jerk manager to bring her some dough. He was across the kitchen, more than 10 feet away, and her back was to him. The dough whizzed by her ear and slammed onto the table next to her. He threw food across the kitchen at her. Just then, the regional manager walked in to get the product for another store. She asked to speak with him, and the jerk manager's face turned ashen. It turned out that the regional manager never got the email, so my girlfriend filled him in and resent the email. She went home for the day and was told that the jerk manager would be out for some family stuff, which we assumed was code for suspension. The very next day, my girlfriend worked with the jerk manager's young protege. He followed right along with whatever the elder jerk said, laughing at all his jokes, etc. The young jerk had a habit of falsifying the delivery times. He would tell the customer it would be 45 minutes, then wait 20 to actually enter the order so that they got 25 minutes delivery time, and the store's numbers looked good. This practice only rewarded the manager with a bonus, so it was unclear why he would risk his job for this jerk. But I digress. My girlfriend had told the training manager about this practice just the day before. Last night, my girlfriend went out to move her car to the front of the building so that it would be under the streetlight out front once it was dark, as she would be closing and wouldn't leave until 2 a.m. After only 6 minutes, we were on the phone and had the exact call time. The young jerk left the store unattended to ask her for her employee number so that he could clock her out for her break. Mind you, she was the manager on duty. He was just the guy that answered the phone. She told him she was on her way back in and to go cover the store. Around 11 p.m., the young jerk asked my girlfriend to enter a falsified order. She said, "No, that's against store policy." Well, the young jerk didn't like that one bit. He stormed off in a huff and sat down in the back and ate what was left of his lunch. After being by herself during a rush for more than 20 minutes, my girlfriend found him and ever so sweetly asked if he had clocked out for his break. The young jerk didn't like his own medicine one bit. He got angry and said he had to go, family emergency, and clocked out. During this time, another friend of ours, who is also a black woman, entered the store. She had been recommended as an employee to the regional manager and was supposed to go for orientation today, although as you'll see shortly, that didn't come to fruition. I only mention this to say that she had the regional manager's phone number. That's a surprise tool that will help us later. The young jerk was now clocked out for a supposed emergency, but took the time to tell the black woman that she was not allowed to stand there. She was standing at the plexiglass partition on the customer's side, chatting with my girlfriend as she continued to work through orders by herself. My girlfriend told him that she was fine and could be there, and to leave her alone. The young jerk, following his mentor's example, escalated a non-problem into a full-blown altercation. The black woman asked for his name, saying that she was going to report him to the regional manager and used the regional manager's first name to imply that she knew him. He refused, and my girlfriend gave his first name. The young jerk then lost it, saying he was reporting my girlfriend to Human Resources for giving out my first and last name. My girlfriend laughed at him, saying she didn't, and that they could run the tapes back if he wanted. What he failed to realize was that he wasn't important enough for my girlfriend to have even learned his last name. She couldn't have told her if she'd wanted to. The young jerk wasn't having it and said he was going to call the police on the black woman for trespassing. Sound familiar? My girlfriend asked the black woman to please leave before anything unwarranted happened. As she walked out, the young jerk followed her to her car, still talking nonsense and threatening to call the police. A 6'3" inches 300 pounds white man followed a 5'5" inches 110 pounds black woman back to her car at midnight. After getting into her car, the black woman informed him that she felt threatened and was armed. This being a firearm-friendly state, she was well within her rights to do so. At this point, the young jerk was scared and began calling the police to report the black woman trespassing and threatening him. He took a picture of her license plate and walked out into the parking lot. Lo and behold, who should be outside the store that he was legally forbidden from coming to but the elder jerk? It turned out he had been parked outside for the last 30 minutes, directly next to my girlfriend's car. The elder and young jerk put their heads together and came up with a story for the cops as the black woman left. My girlfriend had called me and asked me to come up to the store as she didn't feel safe knowing that the elder jerk was suspended and lurking in the parking lot at midnight next to her car. I pulled in just as our black woman friend was leaving and caught the tail end of the phone call to the police. As the young jerk told them that her boyfriend just pulled up and described my car, I parked, left my firearm in the glove box, and went into the store. I told my girlfriend that the young jerk had just called the police, and I placed an order for a pizza to have a reason to hang around. My girlfriend was still alone in the building, working through the orders by herself while the young jerk was outside for his family emergency, plotting with the elder jerk. 3 officers arrived and asked to speak with my girlfriend. They waited patiently for her to finish putting the last pizza in the oven. They asked if our friend had threatened the young jerk, and my girlfriend said no, adding that they could check the cameras if they'd like. The officer said that wouldn't be necessary and implied that they were just going to take a report and that nothing would come of it. They were tired of being called to this same store for nonsensical people of color trespassing calls. This was the second one in 3 days and yet another in a long line. The police finished taking statements, not even asking for our friend's name, because they weren't going to follow up on it, and left. One of the delivery drivers had come back and helped my girlfriend finish a few orders, but it was time for him to go home. The young jerk had made his way back inside the store at this point, and my girlfriend asked the driver to call the next manager at the store down the road to come down. The driver responded that said manager was in the parking lot. It turned out he was out there chatting with the elder jerk. The driver needed to be checked out before he could leave. The young jerk piped up that he could check him out. Mind you, only a manager can do that, and the young jerk wasn't even on the clock as he had a family emergency. My girlfriend said, "No, I can do that," and went outside with the driver. The young jerk followed right behind and looked at me, seeing a bald white man and expecting an ally, and said, "Sorry, I guess our assistant manager is going outside," shrugging his shoulders, leaving me alone in the store. Mind you, I had been standing in the store for 30 minutes, and no one had told me I couldn't be there. After the driver had been checked out and left, my girlfriend, the manager from the nearest store, and the young jerk came back inside. The young jerk proceeded to lay out his plan to report my girlfriend to Human Resources for something. My girlfriend calmly said that it was not true and once again, they could watch the tapes. The young jerk started cursing and flipping my girlfriend off, and the manager from the nearest store, who was afraid of confrontation, practically begged the young jerk to leave. He stormed out, got in his car, and pulled right up behind my girlfriend's car, blocking her in, talking to the elder jerk who was still lurking outside. My girlfriend asked me to go outside and make sure they weren't vandalizing her car. So I leaned against my car across the parking lot and glared at them silently while pleasantly smiling. They finished up their conversation and both drove slowly away. My girlfriend told the manager from the nearest store that she didn't feel safe as the elder jerk felt very comfortable lurking by her car in the dark and that the manager didn't do anything to make him leave. My girlfriend told the manager that she was leaving and not finishing her shift. The manager from the nearest store said that he would have to write up both the young jerk and my girlfriend for not working as a team. After we got home, the manager from the nearest store texted and asked to set up a mediation between the two tomorrow. At daybreak, my girlfriend got a call from the regional manager who had hired her. He wanted to hear from her what happened. My girlfriend explained the whole situation, with the regional manager fluctuating between various states of incredulity. When she got to the part about the elder jerk being outside in the parking lot at midnight, I could hear the regional manager say, "What?" over the phone. I hadn't been able to hear him before that. It turned out that neither the young jerk nor the manager from the nearest store had mentioned in their statements that the elder jerk was on the premises. Since he was already suspended, he wasn't supposed to be on the property at all. That clearly showed that they were all colluding together in this situation. The regional manager said there was no need for a mediation meeting after all or writing her up, and thanked my girlfriend for letting him know. A short while later, in the WhatsApp group that the managers share, a message was sent out stating that the elder jerk was suspended and wasn't allowed at any franchise location, even as a customer. He was given a warning that if he was seen, he should be reported to the police and the regional manager immediately. And what did the dumb jerk do? He showed his face again. He got escorted into the police car so fast he couldn't even blink. There's no word yet on the young jerk's punishment, but my girlfriend was sent to a different store today and loves it. Helpful coworkers, great manager, better store in every way. I'm just glad she's having a better night than last night. Unfortunately, like most industries, the hospitality field is rife with subtle and overt racism, especially in the South, where a certain subset of customers just like to be served by people of color. Reminds them of the good old days, I suppose. Luckily, it seems that these feelings were lower in the command chain, and we were able to go high enough to get someone who will actually take our concerns to heart. That being said, witnesses and evidence are your greatest tool. Please, stand up for what is right. Don't just let moments like these pass by as not my problem. Racists feel emboldened now more than ever and need to be brought back to reality. If you've made it to the end, thank you for reading this overlong diatribe. I hope this goes to show that we can hold racists accountable for their actions. Story 2. First off, I was just a bystander watching this unfold in front of me. As I was sitting in the waiting room at the emergency room, there was a young girl, about 10 years old by her looks. She was also totally bald and didn't hide it. Overhearing her mom, I found out she has cancer and was getting ready for her chemotherapy. At this hospital, they have service dogs meant to calm kids down when they get scared. The dog they let her take care of was small. I have no idea what breed. Sorry. She was on the gurney, waiting her turn, happily petting the dog. This is when the entitled mother joined the story. She walked right up to the counter with her little girl, who was crying. She said she fell off the swing set and got a black eye. She was told to take a seat and wait until called. As she was walking to sit down, her daughter spotted the dog and squealed she wanted to pet the puppy. The young girl's mother tried to explain that the dog was a special dog and her daughter was taking care of him, and he was taking care of her, and to please not touch the dog. The entitled mother did not like this and started at a very high volume where everyone could hear her. "My baby wants to pet the mutt. She's going to pet the mutt." She put her hands on her hips like she had already won the fight. She tried to reach over the young girl's mother to take the dog. But when she did, she pulled the Roman 4 out of this girl's arm, landing her mother directly on her. Not sure about the dog, but it yelped loud, so I assume she did. At this hospital, they don't just have security, but there is a police officer stationed there as well. Both security and the cop grabbed the entitled mother and put her to the floor hard. She landed face first on the big rubber mats they have at the doors. In seconds, she was cuffed and hauled into the security room, the whole time screaming about all the things an angry entitled mother does. Her daughter was taken to a quiet room with a nice nurse, while other nurses worked on getting the poor young girl hooked back up to everything. The poor little dog was so scared. He was useless to the girl. Luckily, they have more than one dog on site at all times. This time, they brought her a German Shepherd. After I was seen and on my way out, I saw one of the security guys and asked him how things ended since I was seeing the doctor. He laughed and said she got trespass from the hospital and its property, resisting arrest, assault on the cop. I guess she scratched his face enough to make it bleed, interfering with a service animal while it was on duty, and assault on the young girl and her mother. If there was more, I can't remember. I just wish I was there when they took her out screaming and kicking.